So this is a film breakdown on Mike James. Now, if you don't know who Mike James is, he's a point guard for AS Monaco in the EuroLeague. He is the all-time leading scorer in the EuroLeague, and he's only about 6'1", so he is on the smaller side of guards. Now, specifically in his game, what we're going to be breaking down is his ability to play with contact. So a couple stages of this that we're going to look into more depth here is the angles he takes, how he uses his offhand, how he makes contact early, and then how he creates space with that contact. So I'm just going to go through a couple of clips here. We'll watch it real quick, and then we'll kind of break down some of those aspects that he uses in game. So here, sets up his defender. Right there, he does create that space, or I'm sorry, that early contact. And it's hard to see here, but you can kind of tell where his elbow is positioned, right? Like right there, that his off arm is going to be active there. So he is using that off arm, which is hard to see there. So he creates that early contact, right? Then he leans in. Notice that shin angle, right? He's pushing his force into the defender, right? Creates that contact right there. And then he does lose it, but then he's able to create that space into that short jumper. Okay. So with the curves part of it, or the angles, sorry, notice here, you see this quite a bit of his clips, is he takes this wider angle. So notice how he's coming around like this, right? And not just straight line, right? He does this to create a better angle to attack, right? So now he has a bit of advantage. The defense has his hips turned, right? And now he's in control. So he creates that a contact there with a veer step. So he takes that wide angle, veers right there, and then bumps out to create that space, right? So he uses that wider angle to get some head of steam down in the downhill, get a better angle to attack, creates that early contact, and then is able to get space off. And, that's what he needs to do as a smaller guard. Now, this is something I preach to all the kids I train, is making that contact early on, right? We don't want to make that contact late. We want to make that contact closer to the start, so it gives us a better ability to attack. Again, there, pretty simple. Creates that contact, gets that floater. So here, this is a good one. Notice he's creating that contact. So let's go back here. First of all, notice the angle he's taking. It's wide, right? He uses that angle to cut off his defender, creating the contact, kind of holding him in a hostage dribble, right? So he creates that contact right there very early, right? He's beyond the three-point line. Most times people try and create contact down here, and frankly, that's just too late to start creating contact to get off an effective, consistent shot, right? Notice how in the last clips, he was making contact around this area and then getting to space, right? Using that contact to get to space around here. And that's where he was getting his shots off. And he was open, right? So it creates that early contact, is able to feel that the defender's momentum is going this way, and pose it back, right? For an open three. Now, there's a lot of good things Mike James does, so I highly recommend watching some of his film. He is extremely tough with how he rises up on his jump shots, and his ability to be unpredictable at times. But his ability to finish with contact and create it is what stands out to me the most. Notice how he uses that off arm here. Okay. So it comes around the ball screen, uses that off arm, right? Again, considered early contact, right? That opens up that lane, even more contact, step back, shot. Again, there's this tough shot making ability again. On this one, let's go a bit back. Again, you see that off-arm swipe early on, right? It's up here, right? That's giving him the ability to beat his defender and attack with speed downhill. So he uses that offhand right there, cuts him off, creating that early contact. And then after making that early contact, then he's able to find that space, which is a big key. So here he uses that screen again, uses that screen effectively. That's a big thing with some players is they don't know how to use screens. Now, we're not going to get into much about that, but he does a good job of coming off that screen. He could have done it better, a bit tighter, but it is a high ball screen, so those are hard to do. But he does a good job of getting that getting his body in front of his defender's body, right? Creates that contact right. Sorry, went too far back. Creates that contact right there. Gets into that open space. Again, it is a tough shot, but he's making that contact early on before he gets into the paint, right? So he's making that contact out here. Then he gets into the paint. He's more open for that shot. Might not have been as easy, but for more open shots, right? Again, wider curve here, wider angle. He uses that. You might not have seen it there. So again, very active off arm right here. That's a bad color. Very active off arm right there. It uses that wide angle, right? So it's not straight line. He's using a curved linear sprint to get around him. Creates contact right there again. And then more contact, uses that contact at the end. So that contact he made right at the end there with the help defense, he used that contact to push him backwards to create more space from that help defender. Last clip here. So again, notice the wide angle, right? Not a straight line, takes a bit more of a curve, right? To get that hip opened up and to be able to get his shoulder, look how low his shoulder is, to attack that hip and get an advantage. It's all about advantages, right? Off arm was very active, creating that contact, and then he's able to find the gap when he gets down to that paint. So just to summarize, right, he uses those wide angles, so more of a curve, not just straight line, to get the defense to open their hips up and create that advantage, right? You notice how low he gets his shoulder below, maybe at hip level, below their hip, to, again, make that early contact. So he uses his offhand a lot to get by them during that wide angle, gets low to be able to make that early contact and be efficient, right? He's using his lower center of mass to his advantage, right? So then it's not as easy to bump him off his path, right? So he creates that early contact and uses that contact to then create the space in the paint for more open, consistent shot for his play style. Now, I think this is Mike James has a lot of things we can take away here with creating contact. Specifically, his ability to, again, I'm preaching on this a lot, but the early contact, being able to make that contact out near the 3-point line, maybe a bit inside the 3-point line, but further sets him up for success when he gets down to that help defense, because then he uses that contact to get into the space. So I hope this helped. I hope this had some stuff you can take away. And, if you're ever watching more players, smaller guards maybe, watch out for these things, see if you notice any of them, and try to work on them, right? So next time you go pick up, when you go a pickup, don't just play, right? Go in and work on stuff. Who cares if you mess up, right? Who cares if you miss shots? But go in there and try to work on something, okay? So if you have any questions, please just, again, reach out like always. Again, I hope this helped, and stay tuned for more breakdowns.